So I recently just had a conversation with my sensei, and this conversation showed that she is one of the best teachers out there. It showed such character that I know that she's the right person to continue my journey on forever. And I just want to kind of go over that conversation with you and the character that it showed to express what I find so valuable in her as an instructor, and something that I find to be one of the most important aspects of finding a good teacher. So a few weeks back at our dojo, we were going over combat sport application to Ueshido Karate. And this is in a combat sport system and rule set that my instructor does not have personal experience training in. And in this particular situation, we're doing a lot of techniques and adjustments that are not normal for her. Things that she personally maybe hasn't spent, forever and age training. Now, there's a lot of instructors out there that would see something new, see something that they don't have a super high level of experience with, and they would run away. They would create this bubble, this facade of mastery, saying that, I know everything you need is from me, you don't need to trade anywhere else. And then they would focus the class around things that they are experts in, instead of allowing the students in the class to grow with all the possible knowledge out there and really expand their craft on a more personal level. But my teacher's approach is very, very different. When she sees that we're interested in something different, whether it be a different line of kata application, a different way of approaching sports combat, a different methodology of training, or even someone who does what we already do, but has a skill set that is really high in an area that the rest of us don't have. What she does is she actually encourages us to go out and learn everything we can. And then she wants us to bring it back into the dojo, okay? And after we've learned it to a reasonable level, and teach and share it with everyone else there, so we can all continue to grow as martial artists. She doesn't want you to sit there and just be stuck specifically in her way or her being the greatest of all time. She wants you to go out and develop skills and bring it back so that each of us can be the best martial artists possible, even if that means obtaining skills and learning things that she's not necessarily as comfortable in. The ability for anyone to grow is based on their ability to put themselves in uncomfortable situations. And as a teacher, it is often extremely uncomfortable to put yourself in a situation where you are not the expert, because you're supposed to often be seen as that expert. And so to allow yourself to be seen in this more vulnerable light for the benefit of your students is, in my opinion, the sign of the highest level instruction, because they're showing that they're really there to make sure that you are able to become the best version of you. And they're not there for their own ego or, just to toot their own horn about what they've done in life. They're really there to push you to be the best you can be. And when it comes to learning a new skill set, whatever that is, something that's important to you, the way martial arts is important to me, it is very important that you have a teacher that encourages you to grow in all aspects. Not to box you in, because it's, the training is more about their ego than not. And this may seem weird. You may think, of course, a great teacher is going to want you to learn as much as you can. But through all of my years training in martial arts, I have personally seen and heard of many, many, many situations where instructors, once they get to a certain point, have a hard time remembering that they can still be a student. And a lot of people will give lip service to that. They'll talk about how, I'm always just still a student. I can learn from anybody, yada, yada, yada. But it is very rare you truly see that in practice. And it's also very rare that level of vulnerability comes out. But it's the sign of true humility, which is one of the tenets of martial arts that we're always talking about. And it's a sign of truly caring for your students on a really deep level. And it's just something that, again, knowing how many martial artists aren't able or not willing to do what she's doing, I absolutely love. And I believe my teacher is the highest ranking woman in the world in my system. She's a 10th degree black belt. I believe the very first woman to ever achieve that rank. And she's not even Japanese. So when you talk about someone who has done stuff in our art form that could validate an ego of such size that humility doesn't fit, to find such humility in her, to continuously put our growth first, It's just amazing to see, because I've definitely seen the opposite in dojos out here, and I've heard some horrible stories. You know, I know people that have been kicked out of dojos because their instructor didn't like that they were cross-training. And I've seen that happen in multiple Muay Thai schools. I've seen that happen in a ridiculous amount of karate schools. And I've heard about it in Kung Fu schools. It's rampant. It's something that jiu-jitsu used to be known for. Not so much anymore, but that was a thing that I knew was happening in some jiu-jitsu circles as well. And so, again, it's just, I love to see the humility of recognizing, hey, I know you guys want to learn this. This isn't something I'm an expert in, but I want you to go out, learn as much as you can, and bring it back to this dojo so we can become the best we can possibly be. That is the sign of a phenomenal instructor. Also, guys, I know this was a pretty short video, but again, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We'll have more videos coming out, longer ones. You know, we cover everything from kata application to martial art history. We focus a lot around karate, but we'll cover anything martial art related because I love all the martial arts. And I hope to see you guys on the next one. Peace.